Yavapai Broadcasting and the City of Cottonwood proudly present Inside Cottonwood, an inside look at the decisions and issues of the City of Cottonwood. Brought to you by Arizona Smile Designers.
Hello, this is Inside Cottonwood. Welcome. I'm Mayor Diane Jones, your host. Today we have with us a guy that is pretty amazing to me. His name is Chip Norton, and as we go through the interview, we're going to find out just how much he's involved in the community and how much he accomplishes. But he always is very humble, and he always says it's we, so we won't put you on the spot there, Chip.
Well, thank you.
But welcome. The first organization I kind of like to talk about, well, before I start that, let's start with a little bit of background about you. Do you want to share a little bit about your history? I know that you worked down in Phoenix for a while, so just share with us what got you to here.
All right, the journey to here.
Yes.
Well, my career was, I was a corporate officer in a contracting and construction management firm. It was a family business, and it was the only job I ever held, well, aside from being a paper boy.
Wow, so you worked there for a lot of years, apparently.
I did, for about 35 years, and during that time I was also, and still am, a very avid outdoor recreationist.
Okay.
So I've always been rock climbing, kayaking, rafting, horseback riding, hiking. On public lands.
Just love the outdoors.
I do.
Also, we might just mention that you are married to Kathy Davis, and Kathy just retired a month or so ago from National Park. She was the superintendent for Tuzigoot, Montezuma's Castle, Montezuma Well. So both of you must enjoy outdoor activities.
Yes, we do. We share a lot of outdoor activities. We do a lot of hiking, horseback riding together. And something that I picked up from Kathy was that I think she may have some regrets about now is I think I'll call it civic virtue. It's this sense of that it's an important role for all of us to be engaged in community and try to add value to the communities, and then that value is returned to you and multiplied, and that's a big. It took quite a few years for that to sink in, but once it took, I have probably overdone it, and the thing she may regret is that now I don't do very much yard work, or the house doesn't look quite as spiffy as it did.
I know, as we go through the interview, I think the viewers will understand exactly what you're saying right there, because you are involved in so much, and you have a sincere dedication in your heart, really, for community and for the natural environment. And so that takes us to, how did we get to here? And let's talk first about the organization Friends of the Verde River Greenway, and how that got started and how you got involved in that. And it's so exciting where the Friends group is today. So how did that all begin?
Well, that started,
I guess it started with about 2005, I think, with John Parsons and
the organization.
Marcia Fouts,
Right.
and Peggy Chaikin. Those were kind of some key players back.
I think John Parsons was the lead, and at that time he was, I think you'd call him Mr. River in the Verde Valley, and Marcia Fouts and Peggy Chaikin and Jody Allen. Were all involved in that initial undertaking, and the theory behind the group was to, rather than go to meetings, to spend time out on the ground with volunteers doing projects that enhance the Verde River Greenway. Now, the Verde River Greenway started as a state park. I think almost all of it falls within the city limits of Cottonwood.
Well, the
perhaps.
original 6 miles, yes, a lot of it was in Cottonwood.
Right, and that is a Arizona State Park's natural area. And then in the late, and you know, the purpose of that was to conserve, protect, enhance a stretch of the Verde River located in this bigger community of the Verde Valley. And that mission or scale expanded in the late 90s. And now when people refer to the Verde River Greenway, they basically are thinking in terms of from Clarkdale down to Beasley Flats, which is south of Camp Verde. And it's about
36 miles?
36 miles
somewhere
of river.
in that area, I've heard.
Yeah, so I started just working as a volunteer with those folks, and we were doing river cleanups and removal of invasive plants. And then somewhere along the line, I came to the conclusion that if we're going to be successful at this, we need to do it at a grander scale.
Right, because I think Marcia and her crew are going out once a month at least, and trying to eradicate tree of heaven plants and those sorts of things from the river, because they spread and they're invasive, and and there's a lot of them. They were planted a lot.
Right.
At one time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Tree of Heaven was introduced back when Jerome was a thriving mining community 100 years ago.
So you thought, I've got to expand this. And I know how you did that, but our television audience probably doesn't. So share with us all the exciting things that have been happening. I know that you have written a grant and gotten funds from the Walton Foundation, almost $500,000, isn't it? What was the amount that you've gotten for invasive species eradication?
Well, in total right now, since Labor Day of last year, the Friends of Verde River Greenway have received about $715,000 total in funding for you know, taking a cooperative management approach to improving habitat along the Verde River, helping to make the Verde River and its tributaries healthier, and also to provide some economic benefit to the communities that this river
because
and streams
it's
flow
brought
through.
some jobs. These funds have brought jobs, and there's still lots of work for volunteers, though.
There is, and so what happened is, first the core group, which you referred to, you know, John Parsons has moved to Idaho, but Marcia and Peggy and Jody and I sat down with Max Castillo, the coordinator for the Verde River Greenway.
Max has been a key for so many things at the park, at Dead Horse Ranch State Park. And
he's a living treasure.
He is. And he always, he makes me laugh, because he said he has the best office in the world, and it's the Verde River Greenway.
He does.
And Dead Horse Ranch State Park.
Yeah, and Christy Statler, and we kind of agreed that we would like to take the Friends to a higher, more effective level. It would mean a lot more work for us, but that we felt to be successful at what we wanted to achieve, we needed to do that. And I don't think any of us dreamed that we would be
this
as successful as we've proven to be. But then, and that I would take the lead in trying to put together a collaborative of all the different entities involved in managing rivers and streams in our area. So I went around to the Forest Service and state parks and the National Park Service and cities and towns and all the local NGOs and
NGO is
nonprofit, well, non-governmental organizations,
right? Okay,
which are typically nonprofits, such as the Nature Conservancy or the Friends, and everybody agreed we had a need for to be successful, because invasive plants and other river issues you know, they
Affects
don't
the
end
stream
at the
flow.
boundary of a
Right.
town or a county or a national
Exactly,
forest.
exactly.
And to be effective in our management, we would have to do it in a collaborative way. And once I understood there was a consensus that the stakeholders wanted to move forward, then we approached the Walton Family Foundation for funding, and they initially funded us money to develop a plan on how to work together and to improve riverside and streamside habitat in our area. And that plan was finished in April of 2011. And with that plan in hand and the structure that we developed through a series of workshops, then we went out and looked for funding to implement projects, and with the emphasis being on invasive plant removal of you know, salt cedar, tree of heaven, arundo, which is giant reed, from the riparian. We're focused right now on the riparian corridors in this watershed.
So we need to take a little break right now, but when we get back, we'll talk about some of the invasive species and how that impacts the river and the economy and all kinds of things. So we'll be right back with Inside Cottonwood in just a moment.
Meet the team at Arizona Smile Designers, offering complete, comprehensive, restorative, and aesthetic dentistry. Dr. Vergara and Dr. Lord specialize in dental health, implants, and cosmetic dental procedures. Expert staff and state-of-the-art equipment bring forth the most from your smile. Dr. Ripplinger conveniently comes to Arizona Smile Designers for oral surgery and complicated procedures. Visit Arizona Smile Designers at 350 South Willard in Cottonwood. Insurance and new patients are welcome. Call 634-8610.
Welcome back to Inside Cottonwood. I'm Mayor Diane Jones, your host, and we've got with us today Chip Norton, and he's involved with Friends of the Verde River Greenway. So he was just explaining to us how that the group wrote the grant to get funding to eradicate invasive species. And we were talking about some of those invasive species and how do they impact the river? And how do they impact the economy? Because the river impacts the economy of the Verde Valley.
Well, you know, every watershed's unique, but there are examples throughout the Southwest where some of these invasive plants are just more competitive. They're better suited to survive in the riparian areas in the Southwest, because when they were brought over from other countries, the insects and animals that controlled them didn't come over with them.
Okay.
And so, whereas the native vegetation, they have insects, animals, and the like that kept the populations under control. And so, for example, there are a lot of watersheds in the Southwest where you have nothing but one species, and it might be Russian olive or it might be tamarisk. And when that happens, when you lose diversity of your vegetation species, you also lose diversity of animals and birds.
Right.
And,
because the salt sea, well, the natural environment here on the Verde River is the willow gallery, or the
it's Gooding Willow, Cottonwood
Gallery Forest, of which there's only 20 left in the world and 5 in Arizona.
That's right. It's very unique. It's threatened, and so our hope is that we can preserve it in as much as possible in that state. So what we're trying to do is to control invasive plant species in the corridor, such as Russian olive, tamarisk. We have 2 species that we have taken a zero tolerance approach to, and that is Russian olive and arundo, which is a giant reed. Whereas tamarisk and tree of heaven, we are trying to, our goal is to limit that to 10% of canopy cover. Now, as far as deleterious effects, I think the biggest detriment is that if you lose the ability, if you lose your resilience, if a river loses its resilience, then it's unable to recover from disturbance. And if you only have one species of tree in a river, it's very susceptible to, in other words, if some disease or something like that comes along, you have the potential to lose all of your trees in a riparian area. And so that keeping that diversity is very important. Some of the species like giant reed can affect water temperature. They can, during flood events, they build dams and exacerbate flooding damage.
So giant reed, is that stuff that's in like the Dead Horse Ranch ponds that on the edges? What
No,
is
that's
that stuff?
cattail. Giant reed looks like bamboo.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
And to get, and all those things have the potential to adversely affect land value, which, as you know, the river and streamside property values are much higher than surrounding.
Exactly, and the river just gives so much to the economy of the Verde Valley and the entire state, really.
Right.
You know, it's people come here. I mean, we have tourism, and the river is a huge component of who we are. Right,
and you have the potential of losing a lot of the bird species that, you know, this is a hot spot for birding. You know, Tabashi Marsh by the Verde River is an important birding area. It's a designation, and we also run the risk of losing those species from this area. Another thing on the economy, right now, due to our success in fundraising, you know, we've already hired 4 people in this area that live here, buy their groceries here, pay their rent here, use services here. And we have funding for an additional 16 work crew members that will be hired locally, again, you know, in this area, which, you know, these
quite
are
a
tough
few
economic
jobs.
times,
Yeah.
and so those are significant jobs here. And half of those work crew members are going to be returning veterans. So
Wow.
we're not only helping with local economy in that sense in hiring locals, but also providing an opportunity for returning veterans who, you know, come back from serving their country and find that there aren't job opportunities available in a depressed economy.
That's fantastic.
Right.
That's great. So you've added to the economy through these grants. You're going to be eradicating invasive species. And you also have an office, as I understand it, the Friends do, at the Business Assistance Center right now. So if someone wanted to find out to learn more about this, or even find out about volunteering, because you can always use volunteers, they can just go into the Cottonwood Business Assistance Center, which is right next to City Hall in Old Town Cottonwood. And they can go in and get information there. Is that correct?
That's correct, and we really appreciate that the city of Cottonwood afforded us that opportunity. We are a corporation, the state of Arizona. We're just starting up, and to provide us this opportunity to, you know, have
get
a
your
place.
Get your boots on the ground.
Yeah, building institutional capacity as quickly as we've been doing it, without the assistance of Cottonwood, it would have. You know, we've been working off the tailgate of our pickup trucks.
Right, and the Business Assistance Center is it's there to help small businesses, and it's also, NACOG is also a partner with the city, and Yavapai College, so that's a partnership also to try to help small businesses.
Right.
And so I'm sure that we're very glad that we can help you out with that, getting you started. So what else do we want to talk about with the Friends before we move on to some other organizations that you work with?
Well, I think the focus of the Friends right now is that we are the lead in this larger collaborative effort, which again involves all the land managers, the Nature Conservancy, Tamara's Coalition, the Cottonwood and Clarkdale are stakeholders in the area. In the group Yavapai County, and just it's our responsibility. We have hired the staff, and we're leading the process, and it's a full-time job doing that, and that's keeping us pretty busy. Now, Marcia Faust is still leading these monthly volunteer events where which we feel is a great component in terms of community outreach and education, and leading groups to do invasive plant control, riverside cleanups, and so we're continuing to do that, which really those are our roots, and we don't want to lose that.
Right.
I've been distracted from that, to my regret, just because of the demands of.
I know you had a full-time job when you retired, but now you have how many? 2 or 3 full-time jobs, right?
Right. I think I was really looking forward to retiring and getting away from a 60-hour work week, and I launched into a 60-hour volunteer week.
Yeah.
But it's really rewarding.
It is.
And
it is rewarding.
I can't think of anything I'd rather do with my time.
Well, that's great. Well, let's take another break, and we'll get back and come back and talk about some of the other organizations that CHIP's involved in. Be right back.
Meet the team at Arizona Smile Designers, offering complete comprehensive, restorative, and aesthetic dentistry. Dr. Vergara and Dr. Lord specialize in dental health, implants, and cosmetic dental procedures. Expert staff and state-of-the-art equipment bring forth the most from your smile. Dr. Ripplinger conveniently comes to Arizona Smile Designers for oral surgery and complicated procedures. Visit Arizona Smile Designers at 350 South Willard in Cottonwood. Insurance and new patients are welcome. Call 634-8610.
Thousands of fires across the United States are caused by careless people. Hi, I'm Fire Marshal Rick Contreras with the Cottonwood Fire Department. The major threat of human-caused fires are from burning debris that get out of control or improperly extinguished or unattended campfires. Remember that fireworks have no place on our wild lands. Become part of the solution. Learn more about proper fire safety by contacting the local fire department.
Okay, we're back with Inside Cottonwood. So Chip, we've been talking about Friends of the Verde River Greenway and all that they're doing and how you've been working with them, but you're involved in quite a few other organizations, some of which I'm a member. I'm actually treasurer of the Friends of the Greenway, and I've been vice president in the past of the Verde Watershed Association. Now, are you vice president now of that?
I'm the secretary-treasurer.
Secretary-treasurer. So let's talk a little bit about the Verde Watershed Association. That's got a long history in Yavapai County. Many years ago it started, and so where is it at today?
Well, you're right. It's been around. They've been around a long time. They've done a lot of great work. The Verde Watershed Association has done a great job of holding forums and presentations that are science-based. And the idea was to provide this information to community leaders and decision makers so that they would have a better grasp of issues that are pertinent to the Verde Watershed. Now, the latest with the Verde Watershed Association is we have decided to partner up with the Verde River Basin Partnership.
Okay.
And
so you're just going to kind of combine the groups now?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is because a lot of the same players.
Exactly. The same people go to the same water meetings.
Right. And Ed Wolf, who is the chairman of the Verde Watershed Association, is also does a tremendous amount of work for the Verde River Basin Partnership.
Ed Wolf is just another amazing person as far as giving his time to community and to the Verde River issues.
He's a wonderful role model, and he's also very good at what he does.
And he's a geologist that has worked with volcanoes in Hawaii and Washington,
right.
Mount St. Helens. Every summer he goes to Mount St. Helens, I think, to work.
Yeah, he until last year, that was an annual trip for him. But anyway, now, and it's sort of a, I don't know, it's a courtship that's going on right now. The Verde Watershed Association and the Verde River Basin Partnership, I think, are engaged to be married at this point. They're not married yet.
Yeah, they really do have the same goals. I mean, the education component, the science, the same goals, I think. I can see where they would meld together very well.
And then the Watershed Association, the name would continue, and they would continue to do, we would continue to do what we've been doing with that format for presentations. And the partnership would, you know, just to continue the great trajectory they have right now with community outreach and education regarding the, you know, the science of the Verde River and the watershed.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the Verde Front. We just have a few minutes left here. The Verde Front's been going on for some time, and what is the Verde Front?
Well, the Verde Front is another collaborative. I'm drawn to collaboratives where
yes, you are.
You get a lot of
different people, a lot of different communities, a lot of different organizations working across jurisdictional lines, because that's when you can accomplish things.
Well,
no one can do it alone.
That's right. I think if we are going to have the future we want, this is a way that I think we can achieve our goals. And again, that started a few years ago, and the Verde Front is
it's Black Hills, or up on Mingus Mountain.
Yeah, they use the term rim to river.
Okay.
And basically, it's one zone in the, I'll say, the greater Prescott National Forest, because the boundaries have also include the Bureau of Land Management and other areas that are outside of the boundaries of Prescott National Forest. But this zone is called the Verde Front. It's from the rim of the Black Hills, Mingus Mountain, down to the Verde River, which is the boundary with the Coconino National Forest. And it's to work together to deal with public lands issues in that area. And that's how I became involved with the Community Forest Trust, another nonprofit who has developed a strong partnership with Prescott National Forest in advancing the
volunteerism, isn't it? It's all about volunteerism, getting volunteers to help in the Prescott National Forest.
Right, and I think the Stewards of Public Lands were a great model on how it could be done to work effectively with public land managers to achieve community good. In the case of the Stewards of Public Lands, it was a lot of trash pickups, and with the Community Forest Trust, it's trail building, trash pickup, any number of things that are identified as needs. So right now, the Verde Front, there are three efforts that are moving forward right now. There are dozens of possibilities. In each case, it's a matter of a convener stepping forward and saying, I'm ready to take a lead on this. In other words, one of the stakeholders. Now, initially, the City of Cottonwood and Yavapai County stepped forward and said, we'd like to take the lead on what's now called the Verde Front Trails team, and that's to work on identifying and developing different trails needs in this area. There's also the town of Clarkdale has stepped up with a Blue Trails project as another strategy action, and the National Park Service came forward with a Verde Valley Youth Outreach initiative that ties in with what so many of the stakeholders, including the City of Cottonwood, are doing with outdoor education and water education in our classrooms and in the field for young people in the area.
And you know, we're just about out of time, and we could talk for another hour, I think, but I do want to mention the NRCD, which stands for Natural Resource Conservation District. You're a supervisor?
Yes, I'm a supervisor with the Verde NRCD.
And also, you're on the Fort Verde board, as I
Right, there's a
understand it.
nonprofit that supports Fort Verde State Park, and that name of that group is Hold the Fort.
Hold the Fort.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're just a very busy guy, and I just really appreciate you being on the show today, and I think we're going to just have to have you back for another half hour because we didn't get finished. But
thank you very much.
At any rate, we're a little bit over now, so we'll say bye. This is Inside Cottonwood, and we'll see you again.